How to Win Friends and Influence People. Welcome to Audiobooks Journal YouTube channel. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have it all? Friends who adore them, colleagues who listen, doors that magically open wherever they go, while others struggle just to be noticed? The secret isn't luck, charm, or being born a people person. It's a set of skills anyone can learn, practice, and master. This book is your roadmap to building genuine connections, earning trust, and influencing people without being fake or pushy. We're going to strip away the fluff and get straight to what actually works in real life. You'll learn how to make people feel valued, how to communicate so they actually want to listen, and how to leave an impact that lasts long after the conversation ends. No jargon, no complicated theories, just practical strategies you can start using today. If you're ready to stop being overlooked, start making friends effortlessly, and influence people in a way that feels natural, buckle up. This isn't about changing who you are, it's about becoming the best version of yourself when it comes to connecting with the world. By the end of this book, you'll not only understand the art of winning friends and influencing people, you'll be living it. Let's dive in and start turning every conversation into an opportunity, every connection into a real bond, and every interaction into something that moves people and your life forward. Chapter 1. Stop playing cool. Start connecting for real. Let's get straight to it. If you think people are going to flock to you just because you look cool, think again. Playing it cool might feel safe. You might think it makes you mysterious or untouchable, but in reality, it keeps people at arm's length. No one wants a friend who's distant or a colleague who's unreachable. Connection, real connection, is what moves mountains in life. Relationships open doors, create opportunities, and make everything else easier. And the first step is simple. Stop pretending and start showing up as yourself. The truth is, human beings are wired for connection. From the moment we're born, we seek recognition, validation, and warmth. That craving doesn't disappear when you grow up, it just changes form. Adults still want to be seen, heard, and understood. If you want to influence people, inspire them, or make friends, you have to tap into that basic need. But if you're hiding behind a mask of indifference or acting like you're untouchable, you're cutting yourself off from the very thing you're trying to build. So how do you stop playing cool and start connecting for real? It begins with mindset. You have to believe that people are not obstacles, not a game, and not a networking target. People are opportunities, not the kind where you try to get something from them, but the kind where you can give something meaningful. When your goal is to offer value, genuine interest, or authentic support, the connection happens naturally. And it feels good, not just to them, but to you. Step 1 is to show up fully. I mean fully. Stop half smiling, half listening, half engaging. People can feel when you're holding back. If you're texting someone but not really paying attention, if you're nodding along in a conversation but your mind is elsewhere, if you're present physically but not emotionally, the connection isn't happening. Full presence is magnetic. It signals to people that you're available, that you care, and that what they have to say matters. And here's the kicker. The more you practice showing up fully, the more natural it becomes. You don't have to force it, you just make it a habit. Next, start asking questions, but not the fake, boring kind. Don't just go through the motions with "how's it going" or "what do you do?" Instead, dig a little deeper. What are they passionate about? What keeps them up at night? What excites them so much it makes them talk for hours if given the chance? Questions like this show that you see the person beyond the surface. And people respond like magic to being truly seen. The energy shifts instantly from polite small talk to real conversation. And then listen. Not half listen while thinking about what you're going to say next, not waiting for your turn to talk, but really listen. People can tell the difference. Listening with intent and empathy makes others feel understood and valued. It's one of the simplest ways to connect, yet most people neglect it. If you want to influence, inspire, or make friends, start by letting people feel heard. You'll be amazed at the doors it opens. Vulnerability is another key. This is where playing cool often trips people up. Many of us think vulnerability is weakness. It's not. Vulnerability is strength in action. It's showing a little of who you really are, even if it's scary. Share your struggles, admit when you're wrong, show your human side. People don't connect with perfection, they connect with authenticity. And authenticity is irresistible. When you stop hiding behind a polished exterior and start showing the real you, people respond in kind. They lower their walls, and that's when real connections happen. Body language and energy also matter more than most people realize. Your posture, eye contact, tone of voice, all of it sends signals before you even speak a word. If you're closed off, looking down, or crossing your arms, you're broadcasting, "I'm not interested." Open up. Lean slightly forward. Make eye contact. Smile genuinely. Let your energy communicate warmth, confidence, and curiosity. You don't have to be loud or overbearing. Subtle cues make a huge difference in how approachable you appear. Another thing that separates people who connect effortlessly from those who don't is generosity of spirit. This doesn't mean giving people money or favors constantly. It means giving attention, encouragement, and appreciation freely. Compliment someone sincerely. Celebrate their wins. Acknowledge their efforts. People remember how you make them feel far more than what you say. By being generous in your energy, you invite people to reciprocate naturally. Now, let's talk about fear, the fear of rejection, of being ignored, or of looking silly. This is where a lot of us freeze. We hold back because we're scared of being vulnerable, scared of reaching out, scared of failure. But here's the truth. Fear is just a signal. It tells you where growth is waiting. Every time you push through that fear, you expand your comfort zone and build stronger connections. Real influence doesn't come from playing it safe. It comes from taking action despite fear. So stop overthinking. Make the first move. Say hi, introduce yourself, offer a genuine compliment, ask a real question. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up. Let's also address the myth that connecting means being liked by everyone. That's impossible, and honestly, it's not the goal. Connection isn't about being universally liked. It's about being understood, respected, and valued by the right people. Focus on quality over quantity. Deep, meaningful relationships with a handful of people are far more powerful than shallow connections with hundreds. When you focus on authentic relationships, influence follows naturally. Consistency is key. Connection isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process. Show up, follow up, check in, remember details, share updates, and make an effort to nurture your relationships. People notice when you care over time, not just in a single interaction. Influence builds slowly, steadily, and authentically when you maintain genuine interest and effort. Finally, remember that connecting is a two-way street. You can't just take, or it will backfire. Influence isn't manipulation. It's mutual benefit. Think about how you can add value, how you can support, how you can lift people up. When you focus on the give before the get, you build trust, loyalty, and rapport that money, status, or charm alone could never buy. In summary, the path to connecting for real is simple, but it requires courage, presence, and authenticity. Stop hiding behind a cool exterior. Show up fully. Ask thoughtful questions and listen deeply. Be vulnerable. Communicate warmth through your energy and body language. Give freely and generously. Push past fear. Focus on meaningful connections, not popularity. Stay consistent. Approach connection as a mutual journey, not a transaction. When you do this, everything changes. Conversations become engaging, friendships deepen, and influence grows naturally. People don't just remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel. And that, my friend, is the power of connecting for real. The next time you walk into a room, scroll through social media, or meet someone new, don't think about impressing them. Think about connecting with them. Be present, be curious, be authentic. Stop playing it cool. Start connecting for real. Your life, your opportunities, and your influence will never be the same again. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments. If you'd like, you can also support me through the link in the description. This really helps me create more content for you. Thank you. Chapter 2. Make people feel like the most important person in the room. Imagine walking into a room where someone looks at you and makes you feel like you're the only person that matters. You feel seen, heard, and valued. That feeling sticks with you. You remember it long after the conversation ends. Now imagine if you could make every person you meet feel that way. That's the kind of impact that separates ordinary people from those who truly influence, inspire, and lead. Making people feel like the most important person in the room isn't about flattery or manipulation. It's about genuine recognition, empathy, and attention. And it's a skill you can master. The first key is presence. When you're with someone, be there completely. Put away your phone, stop scanning the room for someone better, and give them your full attention. Eye contact matters. Not the stare-down kind, but the kind that communicates, I'm here and I'm listening. Body language matters too. Open posture, nodding, leaning in slightly, these are subtle signals that say you matter. People may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Listening is the next superpower. Not just hearing words, but truly listening. People are naturally drawn to those who hear them without judgment, interruption, or distraction. Active listening is more than waiting for your turn to speak. It's about engaging fully, reflecting back what they're saying, and asking thoughtful follow-ups. Repeat back ideas in your own words, ask clarifying questions, and show that you understand their perspective. When you listen like this, you make someone feel valued on a deep level. Empathy is a game changer. When you connect with someone's emotions, you make them feel recognized in a way words alone can't achieve. Empathy isn't about agreeing with everything they say. It's about acknowledging their feelings and experiences. Statements like, I can see why that would frustrate you, or that sounds like an incredible challenge, are small but powerful. They show that you understand the human experience behind the words, and that's what makes people feel important. Compliments, when genuine, are another tool that can elevate someone instantly. But let's be clear, generic compliments like, you're great, don't cut it. Specificity is key. Notice the details. Appreciate effort, progress, or unique qualities. I noticed how much effort you put into that project. It really made a difference. Hits harder than a vague, good job. People feel important when their efforts and unique traits are seen and acknowledged. Remember names, details, and stories. People love it when you remember something they told you weeks ago. It shows that you value them as individuals, not just as passing acquaintances. If someone mentions their hobby, family, or recent achievement, bring it up in your next conversation. It might seem small, but these moments build a deep sense of recognition and importance. You're telling them, without saying a word, I see you, and you matter to me. Energy and attitude play a huge role as well. Enthusiasm is contagious. When you approach someone with warmth, curiosity, and positivity, you make them feel like their presence is exciting, not just tolerated. Avoid scanning for your own benefit or using interactions purely for gain. When people sense that your energy is authentic, they feel validated and important simply by being around you. Storytelling can also amplify your impact. Sharing relevant personal stories or experiences can make someone feel a stronger connection to you, but even more, it gives them a chance to relate and see their own experiences reflected. When done thoughtfully, stories make conversations richer and make the person you're engaging with feel heard, understood, and valued. Timing matters too. Don't rush conversations. Give people space to express themselves fully. Sometimes, the most powerful moments are the pauses, the reflective silences that allow someone to gather their thoughts and feel truly noticed. People often don't get this luxury in their daily interactions. By giving it, you signal respect, patience, and care, core ingredients for making someone feel important. Body language and microexpressions carry messages we can't always verbalize. A genuine smile, a small nod, or leaning in slightly shows attentiveness. Mirroring subtly can also build rapport, making the person feel understood and comfortable. But it must be natural. People can sense when it's forced, and that breaks trust rather than building it. Vulnerability is another tool for connection. Sharing a small, personal truth shows courage and humanity. It tells the person you're willing to lower your walls and invite them to do the same. Vulnerability fosters intimacy and makes people feel trusted, which elevates their sense of importance in your life. It's a cycle. The more you open, the more they feel safe to open, and the deeper the connection grows. Gratitude is underrated. Expressing genuine appreciation makes people feel valued. Thank them for their time, for sharing their insights, for their effort, for simply being themselves. Simple acknowledgments can have massive effects. People who feel appreciated are naturally more receptive, more engaged, and more connected. It's also crucial to avoid judgment, criticism, or correction in these early moments of connection. People don't feel important when they sense criticism, sarcasm, or condescension. Create a safe space where they feel respected and supported. That doesn't mean you avoid honesty entirely. It means you prioritize empathy, understanding, and timing. Feedback delivered thoughtfully after trust is established is far more effective than unsolicited critique. A subtle but powerful technique is to highlight strengths. Focus on what someone does well rather than what they do wrong. Recognizing abilities, skills, and contributions makes people feel confident, capable, and significant. This is not manipulation. It's an acknowledgement of reality. Everyone wants to feel like their efforts matter and that their strengths are visible. Another secret to making someone feel important is inclusion. Invite them to participate, seek their opinion, and show that their voice matters. When people see that their input affects decisions or outcomes, it elevates their sense of importance. Asking for advice or involving them in discussions doesn't just show respect, it gives them a seat at the table, literally and figuratively. Consistency over time is essential. Making someone feel important isn't a one-time event, it's a habit. Follow up, remember details, celebrate milestones, check in, and stay engaged. People quickly notice when recognition is consistent versus occasional. Consistency builds trust, loyalty, and deep respect. You want people to feel important not only in one moment, but continuously. Influence naturally flows from this principle. When people feel important, they're more likely to listen, engage, and respond positively. Leaders who master this skill inspire loyalty, collaboration, and action. Friends who make others feel valued create bonds that last a lifetime. Colleagues who recognize their teammates build stronger, more cohesive teams. The results of this principle ripple far beyond the immediate interaction. Let's address a common misconception. Making someone feel important doesn't mean putting yourself down or diminishing your value. It's not about self-sacrifice or pretending to admire someone falsely. It's about lifting others while staying authentic and confident. When you're secure in yourself, you can elevate others without fear, jealousy, or insecurity. That's when your influence multiplies exponentially. Finally, remember that genuine connection takes practice. You won't be perfect at it overnight, and that's okay. The important thing is intention. If your goal is to genuinely make people feel seen, heard, and valued, you will improve naturally over time. Observe reactions, refine your approach, and stay mindful of how your presence affects others. The most successful connectors are lifelong learners who continually adjust, listen, and grow. In summary, making people feel like the most important person in the room is about presence, attention, empathy, authenticity, and generosity. It's about showing up fully, listening actively, acknowledging feelings, remembering details, offering genuine appreciation, and creating a safe space for them to be themselves. It's about making the small moments count, the pauses meaningful, and the interactions memorable. When you master this, you don't just influence people, you inspire them. You don't just make friends, you create bonds that last. You don't just lead, you empower. And it all starts with the simple act of showing someone that they matter. Not because of who they are, what they do, or what they can give you, but simply because they exist, and their presence enriches the world around them. So the next time you enter a room, start a conversation, or meet someone new, ask yourself, how can I make this person feel like the most important person here? Focus on them, invest your attention, and bring your energy. When you do, you'll notice something remarkable. Not only do they feel valued, but you feel more alive, more connected, and more capable of creating real influence in the world. Making people feel important isn't just a skill, it's a superpower, and it's waiting for you to use it. Chapter 3. Listen more than you talk, and watch the magic happen. Let's face it, most people think communication is about talking. The louder, wittier, or more impressive you sound, the better, right? Wrong. Real influence, real connection, and real impact happen when you listen. And I mean truly listen, not just waiting for your turn to speak, not thinking about what clever thing you'll say next, not half paying attention while scrolling your phone. True listening is an active, intentional skill that transforms conversations, relationships, and opportunities. Why is listening so powerful? Because people crave to be heard. They want their ideas, thoughts, and feelings recognized. When you actually listen, you're giving them a gift more valuable than money, gifts, or status. You're saying, without words, I see you. I value what you have to say. You matter. That kind of validation is magnetic. People remember how you made them feel far longer than they remember anything you said. Listening is influence disguised as empathy. The first step to mastering listening is mindset. You need to genuinely care about what the other person is saying. Stop thinking about yourself for a moment. Stop rehearsing your response. Stop planning your next move. Shift your focus entirely to the person in front of you. Ask yourself, what are they really trying to communicate? What emotions are behind their words? What story are they telling about themselves? When you approach conversations with curiosity instead of judgment, your listening transforms from passive hearing into active engagement. Active listening has specific behaviors. Make eye contact, nod naturally, and use small verbal cues like I see or that makes sense to show you're engaged. Reflect back what they're saying in your own words. For example, if someone says, I've been overwhelmed at work, you can respond, it sounds like your workload has been really heavy lately. This shows that you're not just hearing the words, you're processing them, understanding them, and validating the speaker's experience. Questions are your secret weapon, but not just any questions. Avoid the robotic, generic, surface-level stuff. Instead, ask open-ended questions that encourage depth. Questions like, what was the most challenging part of that? Or, how did that make you feel? Invite the other person to open up and share more than they would otherwise. The more someone talks, the more they feel understood, and the more they feel connected to you. Silence is also underrated. Many people rush to fill pauses with words, but silence can be powerful. When you give space after someone speaks, it allows them to elaborate, reflect, and feel that you're giving them room to be heard. A well-timed pause communicates patience, attentiveness, and respect. People notice when they have your full attention, and that's where the magic happens. Listening is also about detecting nonverbal cues. Tone of voice, body language, facial expressions, these convey far more than words alone. A slight hesitation, a shrug, or a sigh can reveal emotions that the speaker isn't explicitly stating. By paying attention to these signals, you can respond in a way that makes the person feel truly understood. This is empathy in action, and it's far more influential than clever arguments or flashy ideas. Another critical element is withholding judgment. Too often, we listen with the hidden agenda of evaluating, correcting, or criticizing. Stop that. When people feel judged, they shut down, become defensive, or disengage. Instead, listen with acceptance. Your goal is understanding, not debating. You can still offer advice or feedback later, but only after the person feels heard and validated. That's the difference between pushing your opinion and creating real influence. Listening also means noticing patterns, concerns, and priorities. When you consistently pay attention to someone's words, you start to recognize what matters most to them, their goals, fears, passions, and values. This information is gold. It allows you to tailor your conversations, support, and influence in ways that feel personalized and meaningful. People instinctively feel valued when you remember their priorities and act on that knowledge. There's also power in paraphrasing and summarizing. When someone speaks at length, summarizing their points shows that you've been fully engaged. For example, so what you're saying is, you felt frustrated because the project didn't go as planned, and you wish you had more support. This not only confirms your understanding, but reinforces to the speaker that their perspective is being taken seriously. It's a subtle but profound way to make someone feel important. Now, let's talk about emotional listening. People don't just want their words acknowledged, they want their emotions acknowledged. Statements like, "That sounds really tough," or "I can see why you're excited about that," validate the feelings behind the words. Emotional listening builds trust, rapport, and a deeper connection that superficial conversations can never achieve. It shows that you're not just paying attention, you're understanding at a human level. Listening also gives you insight. The more you pay attention, the more you learn about people, about situations, and about opportunities. Most people miss critical details because they're too busy talking or thinking about their own agenda. By listening deeply, you gather information that allows you to respond intelligently, influence strategically, and act decisively. Listening isn't passive. It's preparation, analysis, and strategy all wrapped into one. Remember that listening requires practice and patience. It's easy to slip into old habits, interjecting, finishing sentences, or dominating conversations. Catch yourself when you do it and reset. Remind yourself that your goal isn't to impress, but to understand. The more consistently you practice active listening, the more natural it becomes. Over time, people will notice the difference, and your relationships will deepen in ways you never imagined. Another secret is to be genuinely curious. When you approach every conversation with the mindset of learning something new, you unlock engagement. Curiosity drives questions, attentiveness, and thoughtful responses. It's one of the most energizing qualities you can bring to a conversation, and it makes people feel seen, respected, and important. Curiosity signals that you value the other person enough to explore their thoughts, experiences, and ideas fully. It's also critical to avoid interrupting or redirecting conversations toward yourself. Many people have a habit of turning every conversation into a platform for self-promotion. Resist that urge. Your goal is not to dominate, it's to elevate the other person. By letting them speak first, exploring their perspective fully, and only then adding your insights, you create trust, respect, and influence. People gravitate toward those who make them feel understood, not those who make every interaction about themselves. Listening doesn't just strengthen personal relationships, it strengthens professional ones too. Leaders who listen inspire loyalty, creativity, and commitment. Teams that listen collaborate better, solve problems faster, and build trust that lasts. Customers who feel heard become repeat clients and advocates. Influence grows naturally when listening becomes the foundation of your interactions. Finally, integrate reflection into your listening practice. After conversations, think about what was said, what wasn't said, and what underlying emotions were at play. Ask yourself how you can follow up meaningfully, how you can support, or how you can continue the connection. Reflection turns ordinary conversations into lasting relationships, turning listening into a skill that compounds over time. In summary, listening more than you talk is not just a technique, it's a superpower. Presence, active engagement, empathy, emotional acknowledgement, patience, curiosity, and reflection are all part of the magic. When you listen deeply, you make people feel valued, understood, and important. Influence follows naturally because people respond to those who honor their voice. Conversations become richer, connections become deeper, and your ability to inspire, lead, and impact grows exponentially. So, stop planning your next line while someone is speaking. Stop waiting for your turn to shine. Stop treating conversations as a stage. Start listening with intention, curiosity, and empathy. Ask thoughtful questions, notice the unspoken, validate emotions, and reflect meaningfully. When you do this, the magic happens. People will open up, doors will open, and your life will be transformed in ways you never thought possible. Listen more than you talk, and watch the magic happen. Chapter 4. Turn small talk into big impact. Most people dread small talk. Weather, sports, the usual boring chit-chat, they say. But here's the truth. Small talk is not meaningless. It's the gateway to connection, trust, and influence. Every "how's it going" or "what did you do this weekend" is an opportunity. A chance to leave an impression, build rapport, and create impact. The difference between someone who floats through life unnoticed and someone who opens doors everywhere they go is this: knowing how to turn small talk into big impact. And it's a skill you can master. Let's start with mindset. Small talk isn't trivial. It's a chance to learn, connect, and influence. Treat it like a warm-up, not a chore. Every casual conversation has potential if you approach it with curiosity and energy. When you see small talk as an opportunity rather than a boring necessity, your whole approach changes. People notice energy and genuine interest. That's what turns ordinary interactions into memorable ones. The first principle is presence. Be fully in the moment. Stop thinking about what you're going to say next or scrolling through your phone while pretending to listen. Look people in the eye, smile naturally, and engage with their words. When someone senses that your attention is fully on them, they feel valued instantly. Small talk becomes impactful when it's personal and focused. Next, ask better questions. Forget the generic, surface-level questions like, "How's work?" or "Did you watch the game?" Instead, ask questions that invite stories, opinions, and emotions. Try, "What was the highlight of your week?" or "What's something exciting you're working on right now?" Open-ended questions spark conversation and encourage the other person to share more than a one-word answer. That's where connection happens. Listening actively is non-negotiable. You've probably heard it before, but it bears repeating. Most people don't listen, they wait. They plan what to say next, check their phone, or nod absent-mindedly. Don't be that person. Listen fully. Reflect back what they say, summarize their points, and respond thoughtfully. Show empathy and genuine curiosity. When people feel heard, small talk transforms from filler into a meaningful exchange. Body language amplifies your impact. Lean in slightly, keep an open posture, and nod to show engagement. Smile when appropriate. Your energy signals attentiveness and warmth. Even small gestures like these make people feel comfortable and important. Nonverbal cues often communicate more than words, and mastering them is key to turning casual conversation into lasting influence. Storytelling is a game changer. Small talk becomes powerful when you add relatable, personal stories. Share experiences that resonate with the conversation, reveal a bit about yourself, or illustrate a point. People remember stories far longer than facts or opinions. Stories humanize you, make you relatable, and create an emotional connection. The right story at the right moment can turn a mundane chat into a memorable conversation. Compliments, when genuine and specific, elevate small talk to big impact. Generic flattery falls flat. Instead, notice details. I love how you handled that project. It was creative and thoughtful. Or, your presentation today was so engaging. You really kept everyone's attention. Specific, sincere compliments signal that you're paying attention, and that makes people feel valued. Find common ground quickly. Small talk is the starting point, but shared interests, experiences, or values deepen connection. Listen for cues in what the other person says and build on them. If they mention a hobby, travel experience, or recent challenge, explore it. Shared experiences create rapport, make conversations enjoyable, and leave a lasting impression. Humor, when appropriate, enhances small talk. A light joke or playful comment can ease tension and make you more approachable. But avoid forced or inappropriate humor. The best humor is natural, situational, and inclusive. When done well, it makes people feel comfortable and positively connected to you. Humor, combined with attentiveness and genuine interest, amplifies your influence. Timing and pacing matter. Don't rush the conversation or dominate it. Allow pauses for reflection and elaboration. When you slow down, people feel comfortable sharing more. Sometimes the magic in small talk happens in the moments of silence, where the other person gathers thoughts, emotions, or stories. Your patience signals respect and attentiveness. Follow up on details. If someone mentions something important, a project, a family event, or a personal milestone, remember it. Bring it up next time you talk. Simple gestures like this show that you value and remember their experiences. Over time, these small gestures accumulate, building trust, respect, and influence. People notice when you genuinely care. Be authentic. Small talk loses impact if it feels forced, scripted, or manipulative. People sense when you're being disingenuous. Share your real thoughts, feelings, and experiences. When your energy is authentic, conversations flow naturally, and people feel comfortable opening up. Authenticity builds trust, and trust is the foundation for influence and connection. Another way to make small talk impactful is to focus on the other person's strengths and achievements. People enjoy sharing what they're proud of. Ask questions that give them a chance to shine. What accomplishment this year are you most proud of? Or what are you passionate about right now? When people feel recognized for their skills and successes, the conversation becomes memorable and meaningful. Small talk is also a chance to observe and learn. Pay attention to their interests, communication style, values, and personality. These observations provide insight into how to connect deeper, offer support, and influence more effectively. The more attentive you are, the more strategic and impactful your conversations become. Don't shy away from meaningful topics. While small talk often starts light, it can evolve naturally into deeper discussions. As trust builds, gently steer the conversation towards shared experiences, lessons learned, or personal insights. Depth creates connection, impact, and lasting impression. A conversation that starts with "nice weather today" can lead to shared goals, inspiration, or opportunities. Express gratitude and appreciation during small talk. Thank the person for sharing, acknowledge their time, or recognize their efforts. Small acknowledgments go a long way in making someone feel valued. Gratitude transforms casual conversation into a meaningful exchange, leaving people with positive emotions and stronger connection to you. Consistency is key. Turning small talk into big impact isn't about a single brilliant conversation. It's about building habits. Show up, engage, listen, remember, and follow up consistently. People notice patterns over time. When you consistently treat casual interactions with attentiveness, empathy, and authenticity, you cultivate respect, trust, and influence naturally. Finally, remember that every interaction is an opportunity. Every small talk moment is a doorway. How you approach it determines the outcome. With presence, curiosity, empathy, authentic energy, storytelling, compliments, humor, observation, and follow-up, you can turn even the most casual conversation into a meaningful connection. This is how relationships are built, opportunities are created, and influence spreads. In summary, small talk isn't small. It's the seed of impact. Treat every casual conversation as a chance to connect deeply, make someone feel valued, and leave a lasting impression. Show up fully, listen actively, ask thoughtful questions, share relatable stories, notice details, and be authentic. Use humor and compliments wisely. Observe, learn, and follow up. Over time, these small actions accumulate, creating trust, loyalty, and influence that can transform your personal and professional life. Turn small talk into big impact and watch your relationships, opportunities, and influence grow in ways you never imagined. What seems ordinary on the surface can become extraordinary when approached with energy, curiosity, and genuine interest. Small talk is your secret weapon. Master it, and you'll master the art of connection. Chapter 5. Handle criticism without crushing the connection. Criticism. Nobody likes it, right? The instant someone points out your mistake, challenges your idea, or questions your approach, it can feel like a punch to the gut. Your instinct might be to defend yourself, shut down, or push back. But here's the truth. Criticism isn't the enemy. How you handle it determines whether relationships crumble or grow stronger. If you want to influence people, maintain meaningful connections, and keep doors open, learning to handle criticism gracefully is non-negotiable. The first step is mindset. See criticism as information, not as an attack. Every piece of feedback, even if it stings, is a chance to learn, grow, and improve. When you view criticism as a tool rather than a threat, your emotional response changes. Instead of reacting defensively, you become curious. What can I take from this? How can this make me better? This shift in perspective is the foundation for handling criticism without damaging your connections. Step 2 is self-control. Criticism often triggers instant emotional reactions, anger, embarrassment, or defensiveness. Pause before responding. Take a breath, count to 3, or mentally step back from the situation. Reacting impulsively usually escalates conflict and damages rapport. When you maintain composure, you show maturity, confidence, and respect. People notice when you can stay grounded under pressure, and it strengthens your credibility. Next, listen actively. Most people are so busy formulating their defense that they don't fully hear what's being said. Resist that urge. Focus on understanding the other person's perspective. Ask clarifying questions if needed. Can you give me an example of what you mean? Or, I want to make sure I understand. Can you explain that a bit more? Listening shows that you respect their opinion, even if you don't fully agree. It also gives you valuable insight into what needs to change or improve. Acknowledge before responding. People want to feel heard and validated. You don't have to agree immediately, but you can acknowledge the feedback. Simple statements like, "I appreciate you pointing that out," or "I see where you're coming from," go a long way. Acknowledgement diffuses tension, shows emotional intelligence, and keeps the connection intact. People are more likely to stay open and cooperative when they feel respected. Separate the message from the delivery. Sometimes criticism is harsh, poorly worded, or even unfair. Don't focus on the tone, focus on the content. What is the underlying point? What can you take from it? By filtering out unnecessary negativity and honing in on actionable advice, you protect yourself emotionally while still benefiting from the feedback. This is where your influence grows. You demonstrate that you can extract value from any situation. Respond thoughtfully. Once you've listened, reflected, and acknowledged, respond calmly and constructively. Avoid defensive language, excuses, or counterattacks. Instead, focus on solutions or learning points. "Thank you for pointing that out. I'll work on improving this next time," or "I hadn't considered that angle. Let's see how we can address it together." Constructive responses maintain respect, show accountability, and preserve the relationship. Empathy matters here too. Criticism often comes from a place of concern, expectation, or frustration. By understanding the other person's emotions and perspective, you demonstrate emotional intelligence. Empathetic responses like, "I understand why that would frustrate you," or "I see that you're concerned about this," build rapport and prevent defensiveness from escalating. When people feel understood, the connection stays strong even under challenging circumstances. Own your part. Accept responsibility where appropriate. Admitting mistakes isn't weakness, it's strength. It signals integrity, humility, and accountability. People respect those who can acknowledge their errors and take action to improve. A simple, honest admission like, "You're right, I should have handled that differently," can turn a potentially damaging interaction into a trust-building moment. Set boundaries when necessary. Not all criticism is constructive or fair. Some feedback may be biased, irrelevant, or intentionally harsh. It's okay to recognize this and maintain your boundaries. Respond respectfully, but don't let unwarranted criticism derail your confidence or the relationship. Statements like, "I hear your concern," and "I'll take what's useful from it," allow you to extract value without internalizing negativity. Ask for feedback proactively. One of the most powerful ways to handle criticism is to invite it. When people see that you actively seek input, they perceive you as open-minded, growth-oriented, and trustworthy. Questions like, "How do you think I could improve in this area?" or "What would you do differently if you were in my position?" create dialogue, deepen understanding, and strengthen connections. It also gives you control over the conversation, turning criticism into collaboration. Turn criticism into collaboration. Instead of seeing criticism as a confrontation, frame it as an opportunity to solve a problem together. Invite suggestions, explore solutions, and involve others in improving outcomes. Collaborative responses demonstrate maturity, adaptability, and leadership. People will respect you more and your influence will grow because you show that you can turn challenges into opportunities. Maintain perspective. Remember, criticism is often about a specific situation, behavior, or outcome, not your worth as a person. Don't take it personally. Distinguish between feedback on actions and attacks on character. When you separate the two, you protect your confidence while still benefiting from growth opportunities. This perspective keeps you resilient, focused, and influential. Use gratitude as a tool. Thanking someone for their feedback, even if it's tough to hear, shows professionalism and emotional intelligence. Gratitude signals that you value their input and are committed to growth. It can transform tension into respect and even admiration. People are more willing to give constructive feedback to those who respond appreciatively rather than defensively. Learn the lessons and act. Criticism is useless if it doesn't result in action. Take notes mentally or physically, create a plan to improve, and implement changes. When people see that you apply feedback, it reinforces trust and respect. They'll know that engaging with you, even critically, leads to progress and growth. This is where real influence and credibility are built. Self-reflection strengthens your ability to handle criticism. After receiving feedback, take time to process your emotions, analyze the message, and determine next steps. Reflect on what triggered your emotional reaction, what was valid, and how you can improve moving forward. Self-awareness is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is a cornerstone of influence. Avoid over-apologizing. There's a difference between owning a mistake and undermining yourself with excessive apologies. A concise, sincere acknowledgement paired with actionable steps demonstrates accountability without diminishing your confidence. Over-apologizing can make people question your stability or leadership. Stand firm, take responsibility, and move forward constructively. Keep communication channels open. After handling criticism, follow up if necessary. Check in to show that you've implemented changes or considered the feedback. Continuous engagement demonstrates respect, commitment, and reliability. People notice when you take their input seriously, and this strengthens long-term relationships. Finally, practice resilience. Not every piece of criticism will be easy, fair, or well-intentioned. Some will sting, some will challenge your ego, and some will test your patience. Resilience allows you to maintain confidence, composure, and connection regardless of the situation. It's the difference between relationships that fracture under pressure and those that grow stronger. In summary, handling criticism without crushing the connection requires mindset, self-control, active listening, empathy, accountability, and action. See criticism as information, not attack. Listen fully, acknowledge feelings, separate content from delivery, and respond thoughtfully. Own mistakes, set boundaries when needed, and invite feedback proactively. Turn criticism into collaboration, maintain perspective, express gratitude, reflect, act, and practice resilience. When you master this, criticism becomes an ally, not an adversary. It strengthens trust, builds respect, deepens relationships, and amplifies your influence. You stop fearing feedback and start using it as a tool to grow and connect. Handling criticism gracefully isn't just a skill, it's a superpower that separates leaders, influencers, and game changers from everyone else. So the next time someone challenges you, questions you, or points out a mistake, don't recoil. Listen, engage, learn, and respond with intelligence, empathy, and confidence. Handle criticism without crushing the connection, and watch how your relationships, credibility, and influence soar. Chapter 6. Influence with authenticity, not manipulation. Influence. It's a word that gets tossed around a lot. People talk about persuasion, power, and getting others to do what you want. But here's the reality. Influence is not about tricks, schemes, or manipulation. Real influence is about authenticity. It's about being genuine, transparent, and true to yourself while inspiring, guiding, and connecting with others. When you lead with authenticity, influence isn't just effective, it's sustainable, respected, and lasting. The first key is self-awareness. You can't influence others authentically if you don't understand who you are. Know your values, strengths, weaknesses, and goals. Be clear about what you stand for and what you won't compromise. Authentic influence comes from a foundation of integrity. When your actions align with your beliefs, people sense it instinctively. They trust you, respect you, and follow you willingly. Without self-awareness, influence can only be superficial and short-lived. Next, be genuinely curious about others. Authentic influence requires connection, and connection starts with caring. Ask questions, listen intently, and seek to understand perspectives different from your own. Avoid treating conversations as a transaction. Show real interest in people's ideas, experiences, and feelings. When people feel understood and valued, they're naturally more receptive to your influence. Authenticity grows trust, and trust is the cornerstone of influence. Transparency is another critical element. Don't hide your intentions, exaggerate your achievements, or pretend to be someone you're not. People can sense inauthenticity, even subconsciously, and it erodes influence faster than anything else. Be honest about your motives, share your thought process, and admit when you don't have all the answers. Vulnerability and honesty create relatability. People want to follow someone who is real, not someone who's putting on a facade. Consistency is key. Authentic influence isn't situational, it's steady. Your words, actions, and behaviors should align across different contexts. People notice when someone's values change depending on the audience. When you're consistent, people know what to expect, trust your guidance, and respect your perspective. Inconsistency breeds skepticism, whereas consistency builds credibility and lasting influence. Lead by example. Actions speak louder than words. Authentic influencers don't just tell people what to do, they show them. Demonstrate the behavior, mindset, or approach you want others to adopt. When people see you living your principles, they are more likely to follow and emulate you. Influence rooted in example is far more powerful than influence rooted in persuasion alone. Empathy amplifies your authenticity. Understand the emotions, motivations, and concerns of those you seek to influence. Acknowledge their perspective, validate their feelings, and address their needs. When people feel understood, they are far more open to guidance and collaboration. Empathy transforms influence from authority or coercion into connection and cooperation. Avoid manipulation at all costs. Manipulation relies on deceit, pressure, or emotional exploitation. It may produce short-term results, but it destroys trust and respect. People eventually recognize when they are being manipulated, and the damage is often permanent. Authentic influence, on the other hand, builds relationships, loyalty, and long-term impact. Always choose trust over control. Communication is a powerful tool when used authentically. Speak clearly, honestly, and with intention. Avoid vague promises or misleading statements. Tailor your message to resonate with the audience, but never compromise truth for persuasion. When people sense that your words are genuine, your influence multiplies. Communication becomes less about convincing and more about connecting. Authentic influence also requires humility. It's not about proving that you're smarter, better, or more capable. Influence grows when you empower others, celebrate their contributions, and elevate their strengths. Avoid ego-driven interactions. People respond to leaders and influencers who lift them up rather than dominate or belittle. Humility builds respect, admiration, and influence that lasts. Active listening is an essential skill here. Authentic influencers listen more than they speak. They absorb ideas, understand concerns, and respond thoughtfully. Listening signals that you value the other person's perspective, which strengthens rapport and trust. Influence isn't about overwhelming others with your opinions. It's about guiding, supporting, and collaborating effectively. Storytelling enhances authenticity. Share experiences, lessons learned, and personal challenges. Stories humanize you, make your message relatable, and inspire others. People are drawn to genuine narratives more than abstract concepts or empty slogans. Storytelling bridges the gap between intention and impact, allowing your influence to resonate on a deeper emotional level. Influence is also about providing value. Don't focus solely on what you gain from a relationship or interaction. Think about how you can help, support, or empower others. When your influence benefits others, it becomes mutually reinforcing. People will naturally seek your guidance and respect your input because you've shown that you care about their success as much as your own. Adaptability is important, but don't confuse it with compromise of values. Being adaptable means listening, understanding context, and adjusting your approach to communicate effectively. It doesn't mean pretending to be someone you're not. True adaptability allows you to remain authentic while connecting with diverse perspectives, needs, and personalities. Follow-through builds credibility. Authentic influence is not just about words or promises, it's about action. Deliver on commitments, honor agreements, and be reliable. When people see that you follow through, they trust you, respect your guidance, and willingly align with your influence. Nothing undermines authenticity faster than inconsistency between what you say and what you do. Positive energy enhances your impact. People are naturally drawn to those who exude optimism, enthusiasm, and confidence without arrogance. Your energy sets the tone for interactions, inspires others, and reinforces the authenticity of your influence. Negative energy, cynicism, or excessive criticism erodes trust and diminishes your ability to lead effectively. Boundaries are part of authentic influence. Respect your limits and the limits of others. Influence is not about controlling or overstepping. It's about guiding, supporting, and collaborating within healthy boundaries. Clear boundaries create trust, prevent resentment, and ensure that relationships remain strong and mutually beneficial. Mentorship amplifies influence. When you take time to support, teach, and guide others sincerely, you expand your impact. Mentorship rooted in authenticity inspires loyalty, growth, and respect. People remember those who invested in them genuinely, and they carry that influence forward. Influence is not a solo endeavor, it grows exponentially when you elevate others. Feedback is a powerful tool when offered authentically. Provide constructive guidance, celebrate successes, and offer insights without pressure or judgment. People are more receptive when feedback comes from a place of genuine concern and support rather than manipulation. Authentic feedback nurtures trust, growth, and deeper connection. Finally, remember that authenticity is contagious. When you lead, speak, and act with authenticity, you inspire others to do the same. Influence spreads naturally because people want to follow someone real, relatable, and trustworthy. Your authenticity becomes a model, a standard, and a catalyst for meaningful connection and action. In summary, influencing with authenticity means knowing yourself, valuing others, communicating honestly, leading by example, and empowering those around you. Avoid manipulation, prioritize empathy, listen actively, and provide value. Be consistent, humble, adaptable, and reliable. Share stories, celebrate others, follow through, and maintain positive energy. Set boundaries and offer guidance sincerely. When influence is rooted in authenticity, it is powerful, respected, and lasting. So, stop thinking that influence is about tricks or persuasion. Influence is about connection, trust, and authenticity. Lead with integrity, act with intention, care genuinely, and watch how your ability to inspire, guide, and impact others grows beyond anything you imagined. Influence authentically, and the world will follow. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments. If you'd like, you can also support me through the link in the description. This really helps me create more content for you. Thank you.